In this video, we're going to talk about groups and frames, which are two elements that are going to really be useful in your workflow in Figma. So let's start with the first one, which is groups. Now, the group feature in Figma provides a way to combine multiple elements within the canvas. Constraints are not applicable to the grouped objects because the group feature doesn't include the relative positioning. Now, that being said, I'm going to give you a live example so that this concept is going to make more sense. So we're going to create a few rectangles, and this is going to serve as the base for this explanation. So as you can see on the very left, under the layers panel, you're going to see these three rectangles as individual layers. Now, if I use the move tool and I select all of them, or alternatively, I can also do it directly from the layers panel using the shift key and selecting the very bottom layer after I selected the first one. And at this point, I can simply right click and go under group selection. And the moment I do that, you can see that the layers are not visible anymore, but we only have a group. Now, the layers are still there. In fact, if you click on this small arrow on the left of the group, you're still going to see them individually. But if I deselect and I hover over these elements, you can see that by default, the group is going to be selected. So I'm going to essentially select the group, and if I want to tweak the position or any feature really an option of the individual layer, I'm going to need to select the actual layer within the group. Now, a very easy way to do what is called a deep selection is going to use the command key. And as you can see, the moment that I keep pressing the command key, I can easily select the layers within this group, because it's going to essentially do a deep selection, which is going to be something very useful to keep in mind, especially as you're dealing with complex designs such as web apps, dashboards, websites, where there's going to be a lot of groups. So the deep select is definitely going to be one of the shortcuts that you're going to use all of the time. Now, you can also ungroup a selection by simply right-clicking, and you're going to notice this option, which is ungroup. And as you can see, we're basically back to square one without the group. Now, you can also use the keyboard shortcut Command+G in order to group. And it's one of those keyboard shortcuts that you're going to want to learn if you're going to do a lot of designs in Figma, because you're probably going to group and ungroup items all the time. So, and if you forget any of these keyboard shortcuts, you can always reference the menu. You can see that on the right side, you're always going to see the keyboard shortcuts. And this is going to be applicable also in these menu items over here. So Figma always gives us hints and reminders of these keyboard shortcuts. Now that we learned the concept of groups, let's move on to the concept of frames. And frames allow you to choose an area of the canvas to create your designs in. And unlike traditional artboards, you can also nest the frames within other frames. And this is going to allow you to create more complex design that work together. So in order to access and create a frame, simply select over here the frame option, and you can literally click with and hold with the left mouse button, and you're going to create a frame on top of the group. Now notice that the moment that I create this frame on top of the group is automatically nested within the frame. However, if you are not in such a position, you can always drag and drop a group within a frame. And this can be done also with individual layers. So I can create a rectangle and I can literally drag and drop it on top of the frame. And as you can see on the borders of this frame, these are becoming blue the moment that I hover over it. And this basically tells me that this layer item is about to be inserted in the frame. So this is the frame concept from an overview. And again, as I mentioned before, you can also create frames within the frames. So there isn't really a need just to have one frame. If you want, you can create nested frames within one another. And we're going to explore all these concepts in more detail, especially as we tackle more complex designs. You're going to see how all of these elements are going to nest together, work together, and enable you to create designs where the sky is the limit, really, when it comes to scalability, creativity, and the flexibility. So I'll see you in the very next video.